إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise and thanks is due to Allah. We praise Allah. We seek assistance and forgiveness from Allah. And we seek refuge in Allah from our lower selves and from the wrongs that we sometimes commit. Whoever Allah guides, no one can misguide. And whoever Allah leaves to stray, no one can guide. And we bear witness that there is none worthy of service besides Allah, the one who is unique and has no partners. And we also bear witness that the Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Allah's servant and messenger. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم, Allah says in the noble Quran, وَاقْصِدْ فِي مَشَيْكَ وَاغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْخَمِيرِ. Allah reminds us in the Quran by saying that we have to be moderate in our movements and we have to lower our voices. For truly the most detestable of sounds in the sight of Allah is that of a donkey. So, one of the reasons why Allah compares the sound of human beings when they are not moderate or modest in their voice is that of a donkey. You know, and we all know what a donkey sounds like, right? And so the reminder here is to be moderate and to pace our speech, right? Not to be hasty in our speech. There's another verse in the Quran that says, do not speak with ambiguity. يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. That if you speak properly, right, and direct without ambiguity, Allah will rectify all your minor mistakes. So that is important, but also it's about moderation in our actions and in our responses, right? So basically what he's asking us is to bring consciousness, before we even engage with one another, is to bring consciousness around who is the person standing in front of me. It's another soul. How am I addressing this person? Am I going to leave this person better than what I found him? Right? Whatever is going to come out of my mouth, is it going to help this person or is it going to put this person in a bad light? Right? So that kind of consciousness. وَإِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ يَمْشُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Right? And moderation, or part of moderation in our movements or in our speech, is also when we address as Ibadur Rahman, as the servants of the merciful or the compassionate. When we meet other people and we see there's something ignorant about their speech or something ugly about their speech and we don't want to engage with that, qalu salam. They walk away and they say peace. Right? So not to engage in ugly conversations, right? Or if you know die gaan nou 'n skinder storie aan, then loop liewer te weg. You don't want to be part of that. Lowering the voice is about speaking slowly, speaking in a tone so that people can understand you. Adjusting the voice appropriately. Sometimes we can also use voice to flirt, no? With other people. So one must also be careful about the intentions of our speech. And why we shouldn't sound like a donkey when we laugh. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam he always laughed, right? You can read in hadith, you will see that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a happy man. People would make jokes and he would laugh, and you know how Arabs are, they will somehow want to chop you with a sword because you were offending the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said leave, it was a good joke. But the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never laughed with his mouth open. There was one occasion where it's recorded that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was laughing so much that the white of his teeth was showing. Maar hier as ons lag, as sommer die hele keel wat oop is, né? Die son skyn na binne in. So that's also part of modesty, right? Jy kan lag, maar lag lekker. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ وَاسْمَعُوا وَأَطِيعُوا وَأَنْفِقُوا خَيْرٌ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Then Allah says, stay conscious of Allah to the best of your ability. And why Allah says to the best of your ability? Because Allah knows we're human. We can't be 24-hour conscious. 8 hours of the day we're sleeping. But to the best of your ability. And listen and follow rules. And spend for the good of your own selves. Right? Very important that when we do good, even if it's unto others, we must not expect reward. We do good because we are good. Right? Not because we're expecting reward. Reward will come by the way. And they who have saved themselves from themselves, they are the successful ones, right? What does that mean? Saving yourself from yourself, right? Because sometimes we are our worst enemies, right? We know when we manipulate things, right? And sometimes we, because of our own weaknesses and insecurities, we do certain funny things, right? And then later on, we end up in a counseling room, right? So saving ourselves from ourselves, they are the successful ones. So part of saving ourselves from ourselves has got something to do with the alter ego, right? So when Allah sends us through this journey called life on earth, right? We are at the lowest of dimensions, right? Allah says, وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ, that Allah created 7 dimensions, right? Or firmaments, or heavens, if you want to call it that. And we in the lowest sama, the first sama, and so we have a constant struggle between the highest sama and the lowest sama, right? Our lower selves and our higher selves. And so the alter ego is created in this dimension, right? And part of our journey is to drop the alter ego constantly so that we can excel, right? There's the law that they teach us in physics, right? That energy or light, it goes up, right? And so your soul has to be light enough to go through those different dimensions. And alter ego keeps you down. And some of the things that serves alter ego is a distortion of the self, self-gratification, you know, that kind of attitude. And so the only way that we can serve our nafs, our self, our true self, is by letting go of attachments, right? So letting go of material things that keeps us behind. And now again, I have to remind you, there's nothing wrong with earning money. There's nothing wrong with having good possessions, but they have a purpose in your life. It's not something that makes you, you know, ek is no kwaai and like I'm competing with the Joneses. That's alter ego stuff. Attachments to false ideologies, right? That's why we have a very important surah in the Quran called Surah Ikhlas. Almost everybody knows it. If you went to madrasa, there's one of the first short surahs that you learn. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say Allah is only one. Allahu samad. Everything belongs to Allah, right? Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Allah doesn't give birth, nor was he born. وَلَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ, and nothing can compare to Allah, right? That was purely given to us. It's called Surah Ikhlas, the surah of sincerity and purity in belief, right? So from there, everything else must go around that one belief, right? So who's your idol, right? Is it music? Is it your fun that you have in your life, right? So just redirecting all your actions to oneness and Allah. Attachments to relationships, right? Many times we speak about relationships. And what are people attached to is what the other person can provide for them. We even say things like, this is my other half, or this is my better half. No, you have to be whole before you go into a relationship. There's no other half. You complete. So the other person does not complete you. The other person complements you, yes. You exchange learning between one another when you're in a relationship. You exchange love and intimacy. That's what the Quran says, why we created relationship. لِمَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. So that there can be an exchange of love and intimacy between two people. Right? But if you with a partner because he's got money, or hy lyk kwaai and so ek gaan nou kwaai lyk in die gay community, you know, those are all alter ego attachments. Sometimes we attach to our past, the story of our pain, right? Ons bly ook maar net daar. We spoke this morning in the office about the victim mentality, you know. Hulle moet sorry wees vir my, you know, ek is entitled because ek is marginalized. Maar nou kom jy uit die marginalization, wat doen jy for yourself? To empower yourself. So there can be an attachment to that story also. Attachment to self-pity. Ek is colored, ek het opgegroeid in apartheid en ek is, you know, ek het die water by die huis en ek het die job, ek het die dien en die. Self-pity. An attachment can also be an attachment to being detached. Right? Sometimes people are in the spiritual world, hulle wil net daar wees in die spiritual world because it's an escape for them. Right? قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم ذلك أزكى لهم إن الله خبير بما تصنعون. Now these are two very important verses and one follows after the other. The first verse Allah says, and tell the believing men or the men of faith that they should lower their gaze and that, or the lesbians, they should lower their gaze and protect their private parts. This is more pure for their souls. And verily Allah is aware of all that you do. Right? So firstly Allah says to the men, when you go out in society, you will see things in society. There will be things that will attract you sexually or sensually. Lower your gaze. Right? And then only in the second verse Allah says, and tell the believing women that they should lower their gaze and to protect their private parts and not to make a display of their beauty except what is apparent. Right? So if you consider things like rape and molestation and teasing women in society, right? Often we see in the newspapers or in the media, it's women that are being blamed. She was the instigator. No, dit was maar Eve wat die appel geëet het. No? So men doesn't take responsibility. Women have to take responsibility. But here Allah rectifies it and says to the men first, you first lower your gaze, right? And then you ask your women to lower their gaze. And a very important part is حَافِظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ, to protect the private parts, right? The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I can guarantee you Jannah if you can protect two things. He said this and this. Right? If you can protect those two things, you can be guaranteed Jannah. Because those are the two things that can cause you to just stray off the path. So we're talking about haya, right? Modesty. Okay? Modesty in our actions, in our behavior, in our speech and so on. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said haya, modesty and trustworthiness will be the first to go from this world. Therefore, keep asking Allah for them. Right? In another verse, in another hadith, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Al-haya'u nisful iman. That modesty is half of your iman. Right? So if at-tahara nisful iman, if cleanliness is half of the iman, and you have your modesty is the other half of iman, then you have complete iman. There's another hadith that also says, an-nikahu nisful iman, that marriage is half of faith. Right? So as jy daai twee, dan hoef jy nie te trou nie. Or you can choose which two of the three that you want to do. But haya is an important aspect of faith. Right? So you can't say that imani, but you're not modest in your behavior with people. And so when we look at our life today, I mean, it's true what the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. Those first two things will be the things that will leave before Qiyamah. Right? And we look at today, we don't see much modesty outside. I mean, our media is portraying everything that's immodest, and it makes it look attractive, right? And trustworthiness also, right? It doesn't cost people a lot to think that, I mustn't scratch in this person's private stuff. I can't check this person's email, this is his private stuff. Or I can't check his phone. Or this money that he has given me, yes, I needed it, but it's not my hak, it's his hak. I have to return it. Right? Jy wil nie nog kom by Kiyama, dan moet jy nog goed is return nie, jy wil klaar is met sulke goed, right? But we think nothing of it, as if it's our entitlement, to do that. It was narrated that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, faith consists of more than 60 branches, and haya is one of the branches of faith, right? It's a very important part of faith. Now, the question is, if we don't have haya in ourselves, and it is part of our faith, what kind of relationship do we have with Allah? What kind of relationship do we have with ourselves without haya? And what kind of relationship would we have with our partners if we don't have haya? Right? The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that, or it was narrated by Abdullah bin Umar, that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was passing by a man who was admonished by his brother for having too much of haya. He was too modest. So, right? And he was saying to his brother, you are too modest, you are too shy and too bashful, and I'm afraid that this might cause you harm. On that, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, leave him, because haya is part of faith. Right? So sometimes, especially in our age where we struggle with gender identity and so on, haya is nothing to do with being a mofi, or haya is nothing to do with a lack of being a man. Right? Haya is part of our faith. We have to be modest. We have to be shy sometimes when we do things. We have to be bashful, right? We have to sometimes say, "Nai shukran, zurai." So often men and those women who subconsciously subscribe to patriarchy think that being shy, modest and bashful is weakness in men. On the contrary, a man who can embrace this feminine quality of haya is truly a man. And also very interesting, a lot of people don't understand that when you become more spiritual, the more spiritual you become, the more you have to marry these qualities of masculine and feminine, which is in all of us, right? What makes us be sexist or be misogynist, right? It is because we struggle with our own femininity within ourselves, right? And so when we make peace of that, we become closer to Allah, we're more accepting of diversity around us. And it is also reported that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, indeed, haya, modesty, and iman, faith, they are companions. And when the one leaves, the other one leaves as well. And surely Allah is the one who has haya. Allah is modest himself or herself. And Allah is the protector. And He loves haya and people who cover each other's faults. Right? So here we also learn that part of haya is to cover somebody else's fault. So let's say you heard a story from somebody. So and so het geskinders aan met jou en gesê, ja, jy moet uitkyk vir so and so. And now this person comes in front of you. One day there was a story. Somebody comes to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and wants to tell the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam something about somebody that the Nabi was just about to go and meet. So the Nabi stopped him and the Nabi said, I would like to meet this person with a clean heart. Right? So imagine, and we all experience this, right? You know a story about somebody and this person comes in front of you and this person doesn't know you have information about him, but dan kyk jy vir hom nou so aan. Want ek weet dan al klaar wat wat daar aangaan. That's wrong. It's a judgment already before you can meet the person, right? Because the other person that I've told you that story about that person spoke to it through his lens of his experience with that person. Your experience might be completely different. So that is why skinnering and zakah is haram. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also said that every way of life has an inner character, and the character of Islam is haya, right? So every religion, right, or every system, you'll see when you study that system, there's something about that system that's special, right? Or you can say that that's the core of what makes that system. And the core of what makes Islam is modesty, right? And when Allah says, Inna deena indallahi al-Islam, truly the only system or the only way of life that is accepted by Allah is the surrender, peace, and haya, right? Because haya is part of surrender. Because what does it mean to be modest? Something's got to give, right? Sometimes your own desires, you're going to have to put it one side just in order to be modest. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also said that haya brings nothing except goodness. And in order to live a healthy life, we need to ensure that we have given fair attention to all the different aspects of our life, including our recreation. So part of haya and modesty and moderation is to spend a fair amount of time in the different aspects of your life, right? So you need to pray, right? Or you need to have your spiritual space. You need to make time to increase your knowledge. There's that space too. You need to make time for your family or your loved ones. There's that space too. And you need to make time for recreation, right? The Nabi Sallallahu also had recreation, right? There was music that was playing in the Masjid of Medina on Eid day by women on the drums. And then Umar radiallahu anh came in and he wanted to hit these women. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, leave them. These are the days of Eid, right? So he allowed music, right? But not this, I want to sex you up music. Daisy music, is gemors, right? Good music, because music that stirs the heart, it increases the faith. That's good music. And then often the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would run races with his wife, his young wife Aisha. Right? There was archery. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to love horseback riding. So all part of recreation. And then the best advice that the Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has given us in this case of haya is khairul umur al-wasat, or khairul umur awsatuha. The best path to take in anything is the middle path, right? So you never overdo in anything, even in spirituality, right? Everything in moderation. You make time for every aspect of your life. And then finally the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, they are losers, those who make religion strenuous. They endanger themselves who enforce tough practices in Islam. They destroy themselves who are extreme. Right? So even the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was against extremity. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'anil Kareem wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikril hakim. Innahu jawadun malikun barun rabbur raufur rahim. May Allah bless me and you through the guidance of this noble Quran, and may its teachings and remembrances benefit me and you. Truly Allah is the possessor of wealth, the sovereign, the all-good, the one who has authority over us, the all-loving, the all-merciful. So let us just spend a moment in reflecting on our own lives and how this concept of haya and modesty is playing out in our lives. So last week we spoke about the nafs, right? The soul. And the soul that has to journey through this life and back to Allah. And so we see that the soul goes through different stages. So there is the nafsul ammara bisu, the soul that is constantly challenged by duality, right? So if you think that you're going to find happiness in this dunya, forget it. There is no happiness. There's momentary happiness, right? Because the idea is that we need to go through the challenge, because Allah says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, so that we can test you who is true by heart, right? So something, when we were a spiritual community somewhere in the Garden of Eden, we messed up somehow, right? And then Allah says, get you down from here, and on earth shall be your dwelling place and your means of livelihood for a time. So we need to be tested around there. Who are the ones amongst us who are good at heart, right? And those are the ones who return back to Allah. So this nafsul ammara bisu, the soul that is challenged by duality, we have to experience that. So that's what we call the uncovering stage of our experience, right? We uncover. We experience things and we then say, look, this I don't want in my life, or this experience has taught me this. I'm going to leave the experience one side, I'm going to take the lesson and move on with my life. And then you get the discovering stage, which is the nafsul lawwama. And Allah says, this is the beautiful soul. It is the soul that even if the soul dies without satisfaction at that time, that soul will be rewarded for that, because it is the self-accusing soul. It is that soul that questions itself, right? Some souls will leave us masu. So they don't do anything about themselves, right? But the nafs al-lawwama wants to do something about that soul. It wants to be better. And then the final stage is nafs al-mutma'inna. It is the soul that is completely at peace with itself. And that's why when we die, we always hear in the khutbah or the sermon of the janazah, Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. O contented soul, Allah is happy with you as you are happy with Allah. Allah is satisfied with you as you are satisfied with Allah. So return to the abode of peace with Allah, right? And that is really the idea of our journey through this life, is just to be back with Allah. I don't know if you ever heard some of these celebrities. Allah's rijk, Allah is, but they're still not happy. They got everything in their life, but they're still not happy. Because we can never be happy in this dunya without an attachment to Allah. That's the only attachment we're supposed to have. And when that's missing, you can ammal die dunya se goed het, but you won't be happy, right? Allahumma ansur man nasara dina Muhammad. Allahumma ansur al-mujahideen fi kulli makan. Allahumma yassir wa la tu'assir. Allahumma tammim bil khair wa anta al-kareem muyassir. O Allah, assist those who assist the cause of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. O Allah, assist those who strive towards good in every place. O Allah, make things easy for us and remove difficulty from us. And O Allah, complete us in goodness. For truly you are the most noble of those who provide assistance. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhal ladina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad wa barik wa sahbihi wa sallim. Truly Allah and the angels send salutations and blessings on our beloved Prophet Muhammad. O you who believe, send your greetings and salutations upon him. Wa akhiri dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. And the final word is that all praise and thanks is due to Allah, the authority over all creation. Ibadallah, rahimakumullah. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.